Stoicism isn't the magic pill most people think it is, but it can become the quiet force that shapes everything you want in life if you actually understand how it works. Most guys hear the word and imagine monks sitting on mountains, shutting off their emotions, or pretending nothing bothers them. But that's not Stoicism. Real Stoicism is a system for building inner power, sharpening your mind, and controlling the only thing you ever truly own, yourself. And when a man masters himself, the world starts responding differently to him. Before we go any further, let's get something straight. Most of the things you want, success, respect, attention, confidence, better relationships, don't come from chasing harder. They come from becoming someone who naturally attracts those things. And the reason many men struggle isn't because they lack potential. It's because they waste their energy reacting, overthinking, and getting pulled around by everything outside of their control. This is the core issue we're addressing today. Most men are exhausted not because life is too hard, but because they're fighting battles that aren't even theirs. They stress over people they can't change, outcomes they can't force, and situations they can't control. And every time you react emotionally to something pointless, you give away your power. Stoicism flips that. It teaches you how to reclaim your attention, your discipline, your presence, your sense of direction. Now, before we jump into the rules, let me welcome you properly. If you're here, it means you're one of the men who wants to level up, not through hype, not through quick fixes, but through actual mindset shifts that last. And honestly, that already sets you apart. Because the truth is, most guys will never learn to lead themselves. They'll keep drifting, complaining, and wondering why nothing changes. But you're here. And in this video, we're breaking down 7 Stoic rules that, if you start applying them, will shape the way you think, the way you move, and ultimately, the kind of life you create. These rules are simple, direct, and brutally honest. And once you internalize them, you'll start noticing something powerful. Life gets easier not because the world changes, but because you change. 1. Control what you can, ignore what you cannot. Most men drain their energy every day without even realizing it. Not because they work too hard or because life is unfair, but because they constantly try to control things that are completely outside their reach. This is one of the biggest reasons men feel frustrated, anxious, or stuck. When you let your attention get pulled toward things you cannot influence, you lose power. And when you lose power, everything becomes harder. Stoicism teaches the opposite. It teaches you to place your energy only where it actually matters. Not where your ego wants control, but where control is real. One of the fastest ways to change your life is to develop the habit of asking a simple question before reacting to anything. Can I control this or not? It sounds basic, but most men skip this step. They react first and think later. And when you react, you hand over your emotional strength to whatever triggered you. The more you do that, the weaker you feel. The weaker you feel, the more desperate you become for results. And desperation pushes what you want even further away. Let me paint a clear situation. Imagine you text someone and they take forever to respond. You start feeling annoyed. You start overthinking. You check your phone every 5 minutes. Maybe you even rewrite messages in your head. None of this changes anything. You cannot control how fast someone responds, but you can control how you act while waiting. You can control your focus, your posture, your priorities, your energy. The moment you shift your attention from what you cannot control to what you can, you immediately feel stronger. That shift is the foundation of Stoic power. Control is not about forcing results. It is about directing attention. And attention is everything. If you put your attention into your work, your goals, your habits, and the things that actually move your life forward, you grow. If you put your attention into what others think, how others behave, or when others decide to act, you shrink. Your entire life can be traced back to what you choose to focus on. Every man is shaped by the things he gives his time and energy to. The question is whether those things deserve that energy. When you start living by this rule, people notice something different about you. You become calmer. You respond instead of reacting. You stop getting thrown around by every small problem. You start acting like a man who is in control of himself. And that is exactly the type of man who attracts better opportunities, better relationships, and better outcomes. Not because he gets lucky, but because he stops wasting strength on things that never mattered in the first place. 2. Detach from outcomes before they control you. Most men don't realize how much their lives are controlled by outcomes. They chase results so hard that the results end up owning them. You want success, respect, confidence, better relationships. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem starts when you become so attached to a specific outcome that you stop thinking clearly. When your emotions rise and fall based on whether you're winning or losing, you're no longer in control. The outcome is, Stoicism teaches something most people struggle to accept. You can want something, work for it, and move toward it with full effort, without letting your sense of worth depend on it. That's what detachment really means. It's not about not caring. It's about not letting the result decide who you are. When you're too attached, you act out of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of looking stupid. Those fears make you hesitate, overthink, or settle for less. They make you behave in ways that push the outcome even further away. You've probably felt this before. You want something so badly that you start acting differently. You lose your natural flow. You become tense, anxious, or needy. All because you put the result on a pedestal. When you detach, everything shifts. You stop chasing and start choosing. You stop forcing and start moving with intention. You work hard because it builds you, not because you're terrified of not getting what you want. Ironically, this is when your chances of getting the result go up. When you're not emotionally tied to the outcome, you make better decisions. You communicate more clearly. You approach challenges with a calm mind instead of panic. People feel this difference. They respect it. They respond better to it. Detachment is a form of freedom. It frees you from trying to control what can't be controlled. It frees you from unnecessary stress. It frees you from the pressure you put on yourself. It makes you more grounded, more focused, and more powerful. A man who is not owned by outcomes becomes a man who can create them. 3. Choose discipline over emotion. Every time. One of the biggest differences between men who get what they want and men who don't isn't talent, luck, or connections. It's discipline. Discipline is the muscle that turns desire into results. Emotion, on the other hand, is a wild animal that will sabotage you if you let it. Most men let emotion lead, and that's why they feel stuck, frustrated, or inconsistent in life. Stoicism flips this. It says, make your choices based on reason, not feelings. Train yourself to act with discipline, even when you don't feel like it. Think about how often emotion makes men do things they regret. You're angry at someone, and you lash out. You're anxious about a task, and you procrastinate. You're tempted, and you give in to instant pleasure. These moments might seem small, but they accumulate. Every time you choose emotion over discipline, you give up a piece of your power. And over time, those pieces add up. Discipline is the antidote. It's what keeps you consistent, respected, and in control of your life. Discipline doesn't have to be extreme. It's not about punishing yourself or living like a monk. It's about the little things that compound over time. Waking up on time, showing up when you said you would, keeping your promises to yourself, choosing the hard, smart move instead of the easy, short-term one. These are small decisions that shape your character and signal to the world that you are a man who can be relied on. People notice it, even if they can't put their finger on why. Consistency builds reputation, and reputation opens doors. Here's the subtle truth. Emotion is loud, but it's rarely right. It pushes you toward comfort, distraction, and short-term gratification. Discipline pushes you toward growth, focus, and long-term gains. Every time you practice discipline over emotion, you build momentum. You start making decisions that align with your goals rather than your impulses. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes to keep doing it, because discipline breeds confidence. When you know you can control yourself, nothing outside of you can shake you. Men who master this are hard to influence. They don't panic when things go wrong. They don't overreact to criticism. They don't chase validation. They simply move forward, guided by purpose, not mood. That's what makes them magnetic, successful, and unstoppable. And the good news is, discipline is learnable. It's not a trait you're born with. It's a choice, repeated over and over, until it becomes who you are. 4. Silence the noise so you can hear yourself think. Most men are drowning in noise. Social media, group chats, news, opinions, and constant distractions fill every moment of their day. And the more noise you consume, the harder it is to hear your own thoughts, your own goals, and your own instincts. Stoicism teaches that clarity comes from silence. Not just literal silence, but mental silence. Cutting out the chatter so you can tune into what really matters. When you're always reacting to what others say or do, your mind becomes a battlefield. You overthink, second guess, and lose touch with your own priorities. You start living life based on what other people value, what trends say is cool, or what society expects from you. And while you're busy trying to keep up with everyone else, your own life drifts further away. Men who succeed are men who protect their mental space. They filter out unnecessary input and focus on the signals that actually move them forward. Silencing the noise doesn't mean isolating yourself or ignoring the world. It means creating boundaries. Decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Limit time on social media. Choose your conversations carefully. Don't argue over trivial matters that waste energy. Protect your mornings, your routines, and your private time is sacred. These are the moments where you think clearly, plan strategically, and build the kind of life others only dream about. Another part of this is learning to listen to yourself. Most men ignore their instincts because they've been trained to listen to the crowd instead. Stoicism flips this. It says your judgment, when guided by reason and self-awareness, is your strongest tool. The more you practice tuning out the noise, the stronger your internal compass becomes. You start recognizing what aligns with your goals and what doesn't. You start making decisions that feel right internally, not just socially approved. Clarity leads to confidence. When you stop reacting to every distraction and start acting with focus, people notice. You stop looking for external validation because you know your own mind. You move with purpose instead of chaos. And when life throws challenges at you, your decisions are sharp, deliberate, and effective. Silencing the noise isn't just a mental hack. It's the foundation for a life where you lead yourself instead of being led by the world. 5. Act without waiting for permission. One of the biggest mistakes men make is waiting for someone else to give them the green light. They wait for approval, guidance, or validation before making a move. They think, I'll start my project when I get the okay, or I'll speak up when it's the right moment, or I'll take the shot if I know I won't fail. That waiting kills momentum. It kills confidence. It keeps you stuck in a life that feels smaller than it should. Stoicism teaches a simple truth. If you want something, act. Don't wait for anyone else. The world respects men who take initiative because action speaks louder than words. Think about it. Every man who's ever made a mark, whether in business, sports, or relationships, didn't wait for permission. They took the first step, even when they didn't have all the answers. That step creates movement. It sets things in motion. Waiting, on the other hand, creates nothing. You can plan, you can strategize, you can analyze. But if you never act, you'll never progress. Action is the bridge between desire and results. Here's how it looks in real life. You want to improve your fitness, your career, or your social life. You could wait until you have the perfect schedule, the perfect plan, or the perfect level of confidence. Or you could start now. Show up at the gym, make the call, approach the person you want to meet. The difference isn't luck. It's momentum. Every time you act without hesitation, you build confidence, skill, and influence. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce fear, doubt, and passivity. Acting without permission also means accepting responsibility for the outcome. You can't blame someone else if things don't go perfectly. Stoicism emphasizes this. Control what you can, accept what you cannot, and take ownership of your life. That ownership is power. Most men give it away, handing control over to circumstance, people, or social approval. When you reclaim it, life responds differently. Doors open, opportunities appear, and people start to notice your presence and drive. The key here is to stop overthinking. Stop waiting for the right moment. It doesn't exist. The right moment is now. Every man who wants more, success, respect, freedom, or attraction, needs to internalize this rule. Stop seeking permission. Start taking action. Your life doesn't wait for anyone, and neither should you. 6. Master your reactions. When every battle life isn't always fair, and people aren't always reasonable. Challenges, setbacks, and provocations are going to show up whether you like it or not. The difference between men who thrive and men who crumble isn't the challenges themselves, it's how they respond. Stoicism teaches that mastering your reactions is more powerful than controlling circumstances. Your response determines your strength, your reputation, and your results. Every day, men face situations designed to trigger emotions. Criticism from a boss, a disagreement with a friend, someone cutting you off in traffic, or even just bad news. The instant reaction for most is to snap, argue, or panic. That reaction feeds the chaos, escalates problems, and often makes things worse. Mastering your reactions doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means pausing, assessing, and choosing the response that serves your goals. When you master reactions, you start to control the pace of your life. You no longer give energy to anger, jealousy, or anxiety. Instead, you conserve that energy for strategic thinking, decisive action, and problem solving. People notice this strength because it creates a calm, confident presence. They trust you, follow you, and respond better to your leadership because you aren't easily shaken. Another powerful aspect of mastering reactions is self-respect. When you act impulsively, you often regret it later. By training yourself to pause and respond thoughtfully, you protect your dignity and maintain authority over yourself. You show the world and yourself that you are in charge of your mind and your choices. That authority is magnetic and empowering. The process starts small. It begins with awareness, noticing the moment your emotions spike. Then comes the choice. Instead of reacting immediately, decide what action aligns with your long-term goals. Over time, this becomes instinctive. You stop being pulled around by petty frustrations, and your life becomes steadier, more deliberate, and more effective. The men who win at life aren't the ones with perfect circumstances. They are the ones who have learned to respond deliberately. They don't get dragged into drama. They don't lose focus over minor irritations. They navigate life calmly, efficiently, and strategically. Mastering your reactions is a silent power, but it changes everything. Once you do it, you stop losing battles you never needed to fight. 7. Become the man who doesn't need validation. Here's a hard truth most men don't want to hear. If you're constantly looking for approval, you'll never feel powerful, respected, or fulfilled. Seeking validation, whether from women, friends, coworkers, or social media, is like giving someone else the remote control to your life. Stoicism teaches that real strength comes from being grounded in yourself, not in what others think of you. The moment you stop needing permission or praise, you start commanding respect naturally. Most men fall into the trap of shaping their behavior around others' opinions. They act confident when they feel they have to. They pretend to like things they don't, or they overcompensate to impress. But this is exhausting, and people sense it. Confidence forced is never genuine. Real confidence comes from self-mastery, integrity, and living by your own standards. When you stop seeking validation, your decisions align with your goals, not the approval of others. You act because it's right for you, not because it's expected. Now, I'm going to be honest. This is a tough pill to swallow. Society, culture, and even friends often condition men to crave recognition. But every time you let validation dictate your actions, you're giving away power. Start small. Make choices for yourself. Speak your mind. Set boundaries. And accept the discomfort of not pleasing everyone. It will feel strange at first, but that discomfort is growth. Think about the kind of man women, peers, and colleagues naturally respect. He isn't bending to fit in. He doesn't over-explain or apologize unnecessarily. He moves with confidence because he knows his worth isn't defined by external approval. That kind of presence is magnetic, but it comes from years of internal work. Learning to trust yourself and detach from the judgment of others. Constructive criticism for men. If you're still hungry for validation, it's time to reflect. Ask yourself why you care so much about what others think and how it affects your decisions. Stop looking outside for what can only come from within. Take ownership of your worth. The sooner you internalize this, the sooner you stop chasing fleeting approval and start living a life that feels powerful, autonomous, and aligned with your true goals. Here's a truth that might hit hard. Most men will never experience real power or fulfillment because they keep giving it away to emotions, outcomes, other people's opinions, and meaningless distractions. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless or passive. It's about reclaiming control over yourself so the world no longer dictates how you feel, how you act, or how far you can go. The 7 rules we covered: controlling what you can, detaching from outcomes, choosing discipline, silencing the noise, acting without permission, mastering reactions, and rejecting validation, aren't just philosophy. They are tools for creating the life you actually want. The difference between a man who drifts through life and one who manifests his desires isn't luck, it's internal mastery. Apply these rules consistently, and you'll notice subtle changes at first: a calmer mindset, sharper decisions, and more confidence. Over time, those small shifts compound into real results: better relationships, higher respect, stronger influence, and the ability to move through challenges without being shaken. The provocative part? None of this requires external validation, permission, or a perfect situation. The power has always been inside you. I want you to take a moment and reflect on this. Which of these rules are you already practicing, and which ones are holding you back? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments. I'll read them, and I'll engage, because building this kind of mindset isn't something you do alone. It's about awareness, consistency, and action. Remember, the world won't hand you what you want. You have to earn it by mastering yourself first. Start small, be patient, and apply these rules relentlessly. Your life will begin to respond in ways most men only dream about, and the respect, freedom, and results you seek won't just be possible, they'll become inevitable.